The racist, sexist guy was nice to me personally. Okay, guys, he's kind of cool, actually. He's kind of cool. This guy over here is kind of cool. He's kind of nice. You think my clique is gonna affect his income? She's directing her audience over there. Just marry him already. Holy fuck. Did you know that Metatron has 1 million viewers? Pick me, pick me. You need to be extremely discriminating with leftists online. You need to hold their feet to the fire. You need to hold them to standards because they have a direct business interest in betraying you.
Let's dig a little and see what we can come up with, yeah?
I disagree. Let's do this. Oh, Metatron responded to me. Oh. Go watch this video. It's so nice. Who said the Vikings were transgender? What the fuck is he talking about? This guy is like a monkey brain. This guy is a moron. What's his background?
Think of Emperor Elagabalus. Was he transgender?
No.
We don't know. You wouldn't say no. That's asserting as we are 10 minutes in and she is still glowing about this massive right-wing creator being nice to her personally. I hate BookTube. Everyone's a frickin' liar on it. And the best part is people will still look to this guy and watch his stuff knowing that he's full of shit. Because they'll know it. You can just point this out. They'll know it. And they'll still watch, they'll still support. She doesn't know that he got the meter wrong. She never read the book. Oh, it can get so much worse. It can get so much worse, friends. Has anybody ever watched a content creator called Metatron? 1 million subscribers. Hold on to your butts. This is the truth. The truth about Emily Wilson's Odyssey, all caps.
Noble ones. I'm back. I am back indeed. Wait, I need the prop. How about that? As it was highly requested.
What was that? Is that Black Athena?
Back indeed. Wait, I need the prop.
Oh, it is Black Athena. Black Athena's a weird book.
About that. As it was highly requested in my community, today we're going to talk about the channel called Lady of the Library, specifically about a recent video on the whole debacle that is Nolan's interpretation of the Odyssey. As you can see, latest video from 4 days ago, the Odyssey discourse.
Hang on one moment. Man, YouTube has gotten so slow, man. It's ridiculous. There we go.
Is embarrassing, she says. You know what's funny? I actually agree with that. I do think the Odyssey discourse is embarrassing. The only thing is that I believe we think it's embarrassing for different reasons. Cynthia, I don't know how you pronounce it, but if I can use your name, I hope you don't mind. And that is not the only video that she made on the Odyssey, because 4 months ago she actually made a video called We Need to Talk About Nolan's Odyssey trailer. Yeah, tell me about it. Anyways, before we jump into it, I just want to say this very quickly, okay? Today I'm actually going to disagree with her quite a bit, because we're going to focus on two things. Thing number one, what counts as an embarrassing critique when it comes to the Odyssey, and what counts as an appropriate critique of said work, debauchery, Nolan. But
the difference would be one is informed and critical and humble, and the other one is pretentious and reactive and stupid.
Mostly we're going to address Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey, which the Lady of the Library defends, and I'm going to attack. With that being said, please...
He's going to attack it.
Don't go harass her, okay? Be nice in the comments, because I just want to say it. I kind of like her channel. I like her presentation style. She sounds like a very intelligent, very learned...
I don't like that look. I don't like that office. I'm going to be honest with you, because it looks deliberately looking like it's used. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. You see that stack of books there? How they're all haphazard, but equally haphazard? Right over here? I don't trust it. That looks like a decision made for aesthetics. I don't trust it one bit. This is all style, no substance, isn't it?
Woman. I appreciate her passion for the classics, given she's very left-wing, and usually left-wingers in the context of history and culture piss me off, but I'm gonna...
And the main thing I would point out here is why life feels so pointless right now. I saw Wuthering Heights, so you don't have to. Archaeologist versus pagan influence on wasting your life online. The internet tried to kill my spark. This is slop. This is slop. This is a slop channel.
She's very left-wing, and usually left-wingers in the context of history and culture piss me off, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and be nice. I'm gonna try and be respectful, okay? I'll do my best. I mean, I can't promise anything. I'm Italian. I mean, keeping it cool.
How about going with Lady with the Library responding to Metatron responding to her, so you don't have to give her add more views to this whiner? Do you think me clicking on this is gonna change his financial situation? Let's not be performative in a way that makes us look weak, please. Seriously? She's left-wing because she doesn't say the N-word, probably. Yeah.
With liberals. For me. I'm joking, my God.
Let me listen. Let me disabuse you, okay? I actually have the Lady of the Library's video queued up. Let me disabuse you of the idea that you are not helping, that we are not helping him by watching the Lady of the Library instead. I need to make like a constitution of some kind, you know, some kind of list of characteristics that actual left-wing people do not have. And one of them would be begging and groveling and being super excited at right-wingers being pleasant towards you. People who attack other people on the basis of ethnicity and gender being nice towards you in particular, because you're a privileged content creator and you want to put on a good face to get a lot of views. Just watch this. Time for you to do a live show with Metatron about this. She can't do that. She'll be a sitting embarrassment. She's courting... This is networking. She's courting a video interaction. This is networking.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, I feel so alive. I haven't had an excuse to channel my autism into a video this much in years. Oh, this was a joy to write. I loved every moment of it. So, if you're unfamiliar, this is an extensive response to Metatron, who recently reacted to my last video about the second Odyssey trailer, and my comments on how Wilson's translation of the Odyssey is being misrepresented, in my opinion. Whilst I was enthusiastic to watch Metatron's video the first time, I was initially cautious because his audience's reputation precedes him. But you know what? I will say this, I was pleasantly surprised. He was not only respectful to me, I found many of the moments of the video funny. He's actually very, very funny at times. Unfortunately, the dominant side of his audience that came to my channel lived up to their reputation, but you know what? He didn't, ironically, based...
The racist, sexist guy was nice to me personally. Okay, guys, he's kind of cool, actually. He's kind of cool. This guy over here is kind of cool. He's kind of nice. You think my clique is going to affect his income? She's directing her audience over there.
On his own audience's comments on my channel, they didn't listen to him because they say wild statements on my channel that he openly states the contrary.
At Thumbdump and the Bump Chump super chatted $5. Metatron is easily my least favorite YouTuber. I just plain hate him. Also, even though I agree about her, I think there are some we should ignore.
On his video. So do I expect all those kind of people to actually watch my
Thank you, Thump.
response video, particularly in full? No. They have their opinions, and they're known to be a little bit close-minded for that reason. But Metatron himself asked me some really interesting questions, and I wanted to answer them sincerely.
Just marry him already. Holy fuck.
Now, as you can see from the length of this video, I've given him extensive answers to everything he asks. And the reason I've done that is I believe he asked me in sincerity for my opinion on things or how I looked at things, etc.
Let me translate this for you. Did you know that Metatron has 1 million viewers? Pick me, pick me.
Am I going to change his mind? No, but that's not the...
Why is she being nice to him here? Business. Metatron has 1 million viewers. 1 million subscribers, pardon me. Metatron's videos get more views than this woman's videos get. So, if she's friends with this guy, that means maybe her income jumps by 10%, maybe 20%. This is a business. Make peace with it. This is one of the reasons why I really hate people who are like, no, we need to be super charitable to leftists online. No, you don't. You need to be extremely discriminating with leftists online. You need to hold their feet to the fire. You need to hold them to standards because they have a direct business interest in betraying you. They're playing a capitalist game. They want to make money. Guess who has the capital? It ain't the progressives.
Tension here. There are things that we will fundamentally disagree on, but I hope that this video showcases that leftist ideas or leftist academics aren't as black and white and emotionally driven that the right often characterizes as.
Okay, something else actual leftists don't do. They don't plead with rightists to treat them as, well, you know, maybe we're not all crazy. No, the issue is not that some leftists are more extreme than others. The issue is that you have a culture that is absolutely unwilling to even countenance any sort of reflection on things it takes for granted that slot people, lifelong or unto death, into horrible, demeaning places against their will. Jesus.
So, Metatron, you may be regretting your decision to respond to me by the length of this video, but hey, you ask questions, I deliver.
With that being said, please don't go harass her, okay? Be nice in the comments, because I just want to say it. I kind of like her channel.
Yeah, she basically just generally claimed. She just claimed that leftists in general are emotionally driven, but not her. She's one of the good ones, okay? Imagine going out of your way as a leftist to look like one of the good ones to a white nationalist.
I like her presentation style. She sounds like a very intelligent, very learned woman. I appreciate her passion for the classics. Given she's very left-wing, and usually left-wingers in the context of history and culture piss me off.
See, even when you yell at me, I can see love in your eyes.
Stick to the subject.
You love me.
Okay, on a random note, it's always really lovely to hear my name pronounced correctly by someone, but it's even more wonderful to hear it actually said by a Sicilian. Yes, my name is Cinzia, and that is as Italian as I get because there is nothing Italian about me after that. And I do mean this genuinely. Thank you for being kind about me in this, and also for encouraging your audience not to harass me, although many of them did not listen to you, and they did not reflect the example that you set in your video. And, you know, although I did see...
Hey, why do you think those kinds of people watch his content? Why do you think they're there? What do you think people like this in particular get from him? Why do you think his audience is like that and other audiences aren't? Food for thought.
To you, and they did not
Why do you think his audience is like that?
reflect the example that you set in your video. And, you know, although I did see you being a little cheeky in your comments...
She said she's autistic. A lot of people say they're autistic when they want to get a blank check to do whatever, because they can just say, look, I didn't understand the social cues, okay? I climbed the social ladder and stabbed all my friends in the back because I'm autistic. It's like, fuck that. I got some bad news for you. Autism has been woefully misrepresented in the culture. They understand sarcasm, they understand nuance, and they are capable of lying to you, and they are capable of knowing what they are doing, and non-autistic people are capable of leveraging the common misperception of what autism is in order to get a free pass to do whatever. Shut up.
section, you know, liking a few comments that were not so nice about me. You're far from shy about the fact that you love to be a little bit of a shit talker, so I won't hold it against you. But I say that I do hope my community, or those who watch his channel, are respectful. You know, respectful entirely, focusing on arguments or positions, not personhood. Let's always focus on things
What if the person's a Nazi, lady? Have you considered that?
that people say, not who they are as a person. Also, for transparency's sake, I need to talk about the structure of my video, because I broke up the questions thematically. In his video, Metatron talks about subjects.
I should clarify this for the morons. What if this person's a Nazi, and what you count as being fair and focusing on the arguments is actually giving the Nazism a free pass? What if you specifically are allowing someone to promote themselves in liberal and soft lefty spaces who is a white nationalist, and thereby gain purchase for white nationalism in those communities by being quote-unquote fair, i.e. ignoring the actual underlying motivations, financial and moral, that are determining what he does? No, we're not going to consider that? Yeah, that's what I thought.
In a more spontaneous way, which made it a bit more scattered. So what I have done is do my best to collate like questions or opinions that he said and organize them thematically, so the clips that you will see him in my video don't appear in that order in his video.
I don't think that matters once you're talking about someone with 1 million subs. Sure it does. People with 1 million subs are not known to lots of people all the time. This is the case. A lot of people with very large audiences are completely isolated, and especially right-wing audiences, because they aren't curious. They don't seek out people who challenge them. They seek out people who confirm them. These are people who are petrified by the fear of death. They are petrified by the fear of meaninglessness.
At Thumbdump and the Bump Chump super chatted $10. I wonder how grifters can suss out who's going to be nice to them ahead of time. Metacuck could somehow sense that she wouldn't fire back too hard, so he wasn't as shitty as the norm. Is like an abuser.
You probably look at previous cases. You look at previous instances, you look at, like, is she playing into a game where it's like, oh, what are the woes of modernity? Why can't we go back to statue? Right? And odds are, if you're playing into that, you're probably cheaply bought, because you've already demonstrated that you're cheaply bought by the algorithm.
Now, I hope he and others understand that I've done this editing in complete good faith. What I've done is I've collected the same points of view that he expresses in multiple different ways and condensed them down into a topic, purely so I can condense the argument in my response to it. I will do my best, obviously, in editing to make sure that I have the complete context or some kind of reference to what we're talking about, so you're not completely blinded. But obviously, if you are in doubt, please go watch his video in full so you have the
And we're promoting his video.
full picture. And right at the beginning, we're going to go through a rapid
Sunday, use Lady of the Library's video so you don't give Metatron a click. You see why that's a waste of your time? Stop thinking like that.
fire, because there were a few questions Metatron asked.
Think in terms of numbers that impact things, not in terms of numbers that don't mean anything. Okay?
ask me that don't require in-depth, I'll just give the answers here. So one, yes, I have been to the Mediterranean.
Tell us about how much you like his biceps too while we're at it, okay?
I've primarily been to Italy, but I have been to Crete and Spain. And additionally, my linguistic background, I specialised in Latin at university because really I preferred Roman history. And now Latin's completely useless. I don't need it for my subject at all. I went up to advanced Latin in my final year at university. I am by no means a translator, so I read French and Latin. And as for ancient Greek...
Okay, this is how you respond to Metatron.
People on the internet hate me, and sometimes they make videos whining about how mean I am. When I remind them how that's a really pathetic thing to do in response to me exposing grifting frauds, sometimes they throw a toddler tantrum and double down on their whining. Today we deal with one of those cases, so let's get started. Some of you watched a video I made recently where I highlight the toxic gaslighting behavior of the thousands of trolls who infest my channel. They watch precisely none of a particular video debunking a fraud they worship, hurl insults at me as though it refutes anything I said, and when I remind them repeatedly that they're pathetic trolls who didn't watch the video precisely as they deserve, they just whine about how mean I am, since they're incapable of engaging with anything substantive. This is a pattern of behavior that I've been observing for several years now, and the frustration these crybully trolls experience at their toxic behavior not landing because I refuse to be gaslit by them has spilled over into other areas of the internet, hence the whiny Reddit threads of precisely the same energy, and so forth. In addition to shaming these trolls and contextualizing their reality denial against a backdrop of Zionist propaganda meant to shut down those who speak out against Israel's genocide and MAGA behavior that targets any objective appraisal of Trump's descent into fascism, I also highlighted two videos made by other creators that exemplified this precise troll behavior by doing nothing but whining about how mean I am. After scolding these two for their antics, Norbert made a half-assed rebuttal, which was not received well, and then he deleted both of his videos. Which honestly is about as respectable a reaction one could expect from such a person. An apology would be better, but a silent admission of fault will do just fine and our interaction is over. But the other guy, this toolbox named Metatron, had a different plan. He decided to not watch any of the rest of the video explaining how trolls get exactly what they deserve from me and double down on his pathetic whining. Oh, and there's some slander in there too. Check out this piece of garbage. Exposing Professor Dave's lies about me. Oh my goodness, whatever could these lies be? What an awful lying liar I am. We're gonna get a load of this turd fest in just a bit, but since he's going to whine a lot about how I didn't do any research and I don't know anything about him, and since most of you probably don't either, let's dig a little and see what we can come up with, yeah?
I disagree. Let's do this. Oh, Metatron responded to me. Oh. Go watch this video. He's so nice. Just nice gentleman. That's the tone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I never got taught it. I had to pick between Latin and ancient Greek. So I only know ancient Greek based off how I use my dictionary and my textbooks that I have for learning ancient Greek by yourself, but I have to use a dictionary when reading it. And I say that because I actually really appreciated you reiterating the pronunciation of some of the words, because I'm really dyslexic and I struggle with phonetics and I just don't hear it, so thanks. And particularly one video here on YouTube that has over 1.7 million views.
That's Asmongold, isn't it? That's Wait. I need to, for the investigation to be thorough, because I don't think she's gonna say it. Wait. Odyssey, Asmongold. I'm gonna see. Yeah. That's Asmongold, all right. 1.7 million. You might as well say it.
I do love the idea that Asmongold, who wipes his bleeding gums on his bedroom floor that's full of roaches and rats because he is physically incapable of cleaning or living like a human being. I love that he is pretending like, oh, I am a man of the classics. Okay, I don't like how they're misrepresenting this ancient literature that is so formative in my educational upbringing. It's like, you're Asmongold, sir. You're a professional gamer who lives in a dumpster heap. Stick to your lane, buddy.
I'm going to pronounce it the Italian way. You might as well say it at this point.
One, it's not Asmongold. You were told this, I think, in your comment section much. It wasn't Asmongold. I'm afraid I don't know who that is. I've never seen
I don't believe you.
them. And it's just unfortunate that his video had exactly 1.7 million views. at the time that I did my recording. But again, I stick to my principles. I don't name creators in these circumstances purely because my video wasn't about them and I didn't want it to reflect them. It was their comment that made me realise that there was a perception around Emily Wilson's translation that was being regurgitated and that I was aware of at that moment, and that creator brought it to light. And I doubt this creator was the original perpetrator of that perception of Emily Wilson's translation. I think they read it elsewhere. And I know Metatron gave this creator, because they thought it was Asmongold, the benefit of the doubt. And I agree that in Metatron's interpretation of what this person could have said is a possible way of it being perceived, in the sense that Metatron says how all translations are a distortion of a retelling of the original text, which is, yes, we'll get into that, but I completely agree with him. And therefore he defends this person's sentiment by saying Wilson's translation can be called a retelling or a reimagining because Metatron, as a linguist and a translator, understands that nuance. But forgive me for being blunt here when I say that I'm 99% sure that the original person was not talking about Wilson's translation as being a retelling with a deep understanding of the complexities of translation. They were just regurgitating this idea that Wilson had changed the entire story of the Odyssey, claiming that Wilson had destroyed the epic. She demeaned Odysseus as a hero because she's a man-hating feminist, and that doesn't happen in her translation of the Odyssey. But we'll get into translation later. First,
You want to cast a gay man, cast him. Don't turn a straight man gay, which is what people do. Don't change the facts of history. Don't tell me that the Vikings, not her, but I'm saying the left in general, don't tell us that the Vikings were transgender. It's nonsense.
What is he talking about?
What is, in fact, I'm going to ask you this directly, since
What is he talking about? Don't tell. What? Who said the Vikings were transgender? What the fuck is he talking about? They didn't have a concept of gender. What is he talking about?
you're into the classics, you're into history, I imagine. What do you
Hang on. No, wait. I need to know more about this. What? What? Metatron. Trans Vikings. Transgender Viking warriors delusional. Yeah, that would be odd.
Hello noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and as you know, on this channel we care about only one thing, the truth, which needs to be presented.
I don't believe you.
Coming very soon as well. Let's jump into this one first.
Okay.
From Reuters.com, could some Viking warriors have been trans men? Book asks. London, August 17, Thomson Reuters Foundation. Vikings were known for brutality and chauvinism as they pillaged their way across Europe. But as a new book has claimed that some of the Nordic warriors might have secretly been transgender men. Right. In the Children of Ash and Elm, A History of the Vikings, Nell Price, Professor of Archaeology and Ancient History at Sweden's Uppsala University, re-examined the case of a Viking warrior grave excavated in 1889. I think I already know where this is going. And for some reason I'm getting an ad about Biden. Typical Viking transgender warrior. Discovered in Burka, often referred to.
That's because you're probably being served a bunch of reactionary stuff that's talking about Biden.
As the Sweden's first town, the 10th century grave contained a skeleton buried with swords and spears that was presumed to be of a male Viking, but DNA analysis confirmed in 2017 it was a female warrior. I'm failing to understand where the transgender comes in, but let's keep
Me too.
reading. In a sense, it does not really matter whether the person in the Burka grave was a female-bodied warrior. What the heck is a female-bodied?
Well, that would be someone who has a female body, Metatron. I would presume as a reactionary traditionalist, this would be amenable to you, actually.
Warrior, also known as a female warrior.
Well, no, not if they were presenting as male, right? So, Eowyn in Lord of the Rings is a female-bodied warrior who snuck into the army by pretending to be male. The maleness that is feigned is the gender expression. The body that belies it is contradictory to the gender norms of, off the top of my head, Rohan society, okay? Whether or not she identifies as a man or is simply posturing as a man in that context is a separate question, right? That's what that means. This guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. No, the question is, could there be trans Vikings? The question is, were there female Viking warriors who presented as men and self-conceived as of the men, right? That would be the question. The question is, would we, with that knowledge of their psychology, is it conceivable that that could be the case, and would we moderns redescribe them then potentially as trans? Like, if they were doing this in present day, would we consider that to be an example of being trans? That's the question. That's not positing that there are trans Vikings, you idiot.
But yeah, female-bodied warrior woman or not. Price, part of the 2017 research team, wrote in the book being published.
Like, that's the question. Was it a female-bodied warrior woman or not? Also, maybe I'm going a bit too far even, because the question may simply be, the statement may be, it doesn't matter if the woman who was buried with swords and spears was therefore a warrior woman, as in a woman who was a warrior. As in the question is trans identity, may be like, oh, female-bodied warrior, female-bodied person who was a warrior woman, right? Who identified as a woman. Or maybe it doesn't matter that a female-bodied person was buried with swords and spears. Maybe that doesn't mean anything specific with respect to the gender of the person in question.
Later this month, a great way to, make the genetists and researchers feel good, about their work they've done. Oh, you've done a lot of DNA analysis and spent like the last 2 weeks analyzing the tests and not going home to sleep. Oh, it doesn't matter anyways what you're saying. It's meaningless. Fantastic.
This guy is like a monkey brain. This guy is a moron. What's his background? What is his background exactly? What does he do?
Fantastic approach. This person may equally have been transgender in our terms, or non-binary, or gender fluid, or an Italian.
No, not an Italian. Italians existed in Homer's time. The question is whether or not... Actually, did they exist in Homer's time? I don't think they did. Hang on. How old are Italians as a category? Yeah, there were Italic tribes then. Okay. Yeah, okay. Here's the point though. Like, not like Pesta Mussolini. It wasn't that kind of Italian, but it's like what they did. They did have people who populated Italy and were called Italics. But here's the point though. The question is, would a woman, if a female-bodied person was buried with swords and shields and whatnot and spears, and we take this to imply that this female-bodied person fought with the men with swords and spears and shields and whatnot, is it conceivable that this person also self-identified as one of the men? Not in the sense of a modern person going like, oh, I was assigned female at birth, but I identify as, but no, like, did they actually identify as that? Like, it's just sort of naively identify as that. Possible. And the question specifically is like saying in our modern terms. Like, would we classify this as non-binary or something? Quite probably, if that was the case.
Or a Catholic priest who pretended to be a Viking. Add any line you like. Dominic James, professor of modern history,
Professor of modern history,
University in Northern England, said there was a long history of women as war leaders in Europe over the centuries, citing Britain's Queen Elizabeth I. Well, first of all, that was really cool. Here's where these articles driving me mad. So you're just talking about a possible, get into that, we need to talk about a little bit about burial mounds and how excavations within the funerary or ceremonial burial context should be approached, which is not this. I'll get to that in a second, but already drives me mad that you're going from possible shield maiden, which we never really knew 100% how common or realistic of a thing it was anyways. Like, of course, we know that Valkyrie is a part of mythology.
Okay.
The idea of shield maiden is possible,
okay,
maybe even plausible. But this could be a great discovery to say, hey, look, it's an actual shield maiden. This is proof of a woman warrior. They can't even say, hey, look, this could be a great opportunity to actually glorify women.
He's a moron. He's so stupid. No, they're asking like, hey, could this person have, rather than identifying as a woman warrior, is it conceivable that they were just folded into the men in that context? Or that they regard themselves as folded into the men in that context? Is it conceivable that someone with what we would call gender dysphoria, if you will, existed back then, or somebody who identified as the opposite of what they were assigned at birth by whatever system they were in, or would have identified opposite what they would have been assigned at birth in our culture? Is that possible? It's like, yeah, it's possible. That's the answer, obviously. This guy's stupid. This is one stupid motherfucker. What a stupid man.
Think of Emperor Elagabalus. Was he transgender?
No. Did that shock you? Okay.
We don't know. You wouldn't say no. That's asserting as, that is insisting that he wasn't. That's a mistake.
Let me make my position known. So, in 20...
Your position is that the Emperor Heliogabalus was definitely not trans? How do you know that? Why would you not just say we don't know? We don't know, and there were political reasons for spreading rumors about him dressing as a woman. Why would you not just say that? That's what I would say. I don't know. I don't frickin' know. With the caveat, of course, that our notions of gender identity didn't exist back then, so that he would be, Zer's self, Heliogabalus, would be, I can't fucking with these people. So that Heliogabalus, if Heliogabalus would be understood in our terms as trans, Heliogabalus would not understand Heliogabalus as trans. Obviously. That's...
At Jimberly6341 super chatted $5. I don't know where the liar ends and the dumbass begins.
I prefer to attribute the lying, the dumbassery to the lying, so I would call them coeval with each other.
23, the North Hertfordshire Museum in Hitchin changed the pronouns it used in reference to a coin of Elagabalus in its collection to refer to the emperor as a trans woman, using she, her pronouns. Now, this discussion is based on ancient sources discussing their various behaviours. You know, they allegedly...
That's also a mistake, by the way. Don't do that. You're not being nice. You're inviting a propaganda shitstorm. Do not also make leaps in the other direction. But you wouldn't say no, and you wouldn't say yes. We don't know. We don't have Heliogabalus before us. Heliogabalus is long dead.
They dressed as a female sex worker. They married a male slave and then acted as his wife. They asked to be...
All things, by the way, that a gay cis man can do.
...referred to as a lady rather than a...
Technically, it's all things that a straight cis man can do. I don't know why you would, but it's a thing you could do.
...lord, and in one account begged to have a surgical vagina made by a physician. That's all well and dandy, but were these stories true?
Well, how often do we see people asking to have a surgical vagina made by a physician in Heliogabalus's time? Because that's very specific indeed. That would make me question some things potentially as a non-expert. But you know what I wouldn't do? I wouldn't go, oh, definitely not a trans woman, because I don't know. Because you know what else? Every single account of this stuff we could have could be falsified, could be a political attack of some kind, and it would still be true. It could still be true. Why? Because maybe stuff happened we don't know about. Not to say it is true, but it could be, and vice versa. You could have all these things be completely true, and for the person to be actually a cis man who did some wacky stuff. All possible. You do not actually have to stake a side in this. There are not high stakes for you to decide right now on the gender identity of Heliogabalus.
Elagabalus was a very young emperor who was assassinated at just 18 years old, and the accounts of sexual unconventionality largely originate from rather hostile ancient historians who wanted to win the favour of Elagabalus's successor, Severus Alexander. And to win favour,
Severus Alexander,
it would not be, out of the question to portray the young emperor in the worst light possible at the time. As such, we can never truly know what is accurate when reading ancient sources, because we always have to take them very lightly and consider them within a broader context. And I say this as someone whose views have evolved in this area. I've talked to lots of academics in the field, and thanks to this kind of discussion, as a researcher, I practice my ethics, which is that I believe that it is unethical to label historical figures in terms of their pronouns or label them with a certain sexuality.
Then you can't say no, he wasn't, because that is to say that he wasn't. That is labeling him in terms of sexuality and gender. That is what you are doing. You don't say anything. You studiously and explicitly remain silent on those questions, and you explain why. That's what you do when asked.
And I came to this conclusion after realising that there is violence inherent in language, so one cannot just simply say...
There's violence inherent in language? What? Editor, this is the thumbnail, by the way. That's our thumbnail, okay? Just like that.
Alexander the Great was a gay man, nor can they just say Elagabalus was a transgender woman, even if there is evidence to suggest that they were, because not only does labelling demean the agency of the person who...
Hey, question for you. How often do you say that somebody was a straight man otherwise? Because they have a wife and children. How often are you willing to say they're straight? Because if you are fine with that, then there is actually a prejudice deeply baked within your language use, because you are presuming that straight and cis are protagonistic. They're the default, which they're not. They're statistically more common. That's not the same thing. If you're concerned with accuracy and you're concerned with not speaking over somebody, you are concerned with not speaking over somebody whether or not they present in the majority mode or in the minority mode.
Isn't able to define themselves. In doing so, we place a pattern of gendered behaviours from our contemporary culture onto the past and thus contradict our own arguments against gender expectations.
Further to the right than you in loving your content? Well, we'll fix you, don't worry. Appreciate the donation.
So whilst I enjoy interpretations and discussions of possibly how Alexander the Great was possibly a bisexual, it would be unethical to confidently state that he was straight, or he was gay, or he was bi, etc.
I mean, he was known to have sex with men, so depends on what you mean, I guess. If you're saying he identifies as bisexual, that's a different thing. If you're criticizing the notion of bisexuality, which would be fair, if you're criticizing the notion of sexuality, that would be fair. As if that there are these categories you fit into, and now you're a human type of that sort. That'd be fair. If the question is whether or not he was attracted to people with dicks, I mean, you can argue the contra. Good luck.
It is just as unethical to automatically assume heteronormativity as it is to impose other labels on.
She just made your statement, just had to wait. Yeah, but the problem is before she made that statement, she said no, he wasn't trans. You can't do that.
But do you also call out people?
Trans people suddenly are like, because they're extra weird, so they aren't in that category. They don't get that. Yeah.
People who are blinded.
I challenge you to a duel. You don't want to do that. I know karate and fencing.
By their absolute hatred of right-wing politics that they spew misinformation. That's my question. But then again, for years, I debunked left, right, left, left, right, left, so much that I looked like a complete lunatic.
Yeah, you're on the right. I gotcha.
Like, I looked like someone who needed to talk to a psychologist, if not
Well, maybe someone who gets to the gym now and then. Your arms are making me uncomfortable.
a psychiatrist at this point. On a Tuesday, I was meta-woke. On a Thursday, I was the meta-chud.
Yes, I do. I just did it a few weeks ago in a video where I critiqued a left-wing archaeologist's approach to critiquing a right-wing neo-pagan influencer online. Now, people
Is that the one I responded to?
criticize me for being far too hard on the archaeologist and for being too forgiving of the neo-pagan when I didn't see myself as forgiving or nice.
We are 10 minutes in, and she is still glowing about this massive right-wing creator being nice to her personally.
To her at all in the slightest. I just said things
I have some bad news for you ladies, just because you're white.
as they were. But my critique was that neo-Nazi, Nazi, alt-right, right-wing and far-right are all distinctive words with very specific criteria.
Really? That's what you took issue with? Not like, for example, the fact that what he was responding to didn't like bear out that content, it was guilt by association? That was my issue, if we're thinking of the same thing.
And using them interchangeably on the left.
Please turn this off. Well, I'm glad you told me to do that, because I'm not going to, but I'm going to remind you, dear friends, that there's a system on this channel. At the bottom of the screen, there are two values. One there, one there. If you would like us to skip to a theory segment in which we talk about some theoretical, historical, or political, or whatever matter at a very high level for, at minimum, 1 hour, consider putting the word super chat into your, consider putting the word theory into your super chat. You can tell the pollen's getting to my head. If we get to $100 in theory donations, we will skip to a theory segment. If, however, you would like the regular content to continue, put the word drama into your super chat. If we get to $100 in drama, the theory value goes down by 50%. If you donate $100 in one super chat, you get to pick the next segment, categorically, whatever it is. The only rule is I keep my clothes on. Trust me, it's for your own good.
Just because it sounds, punchy when doing a video, isn't the smartest thing to do, especially when you pick one of those terms and then use that term to go
Can I get drama theory? Yes, but I'll allocate those points how I see fit.
after someone's income. You are looking for a possible defamation lawsuit when you do that. And if you haven't got the evidence to back up why you labelled someone...
Okay, fortunately, we're not in the UK, so we don't get defamation lawsuits for giving political opinions about public figures. But the UK is the lamest totalitarian state in terms of free speech I've ever seen, but it is still so. If you are a member of the oligarchy, you can have your names and your crimes unsearchable on Google, and you can sue people for saying not nice things about you when you are a not nice person. And I find that incredibly disgusting. It's one of the most pathetic, slavish legal systems I've ever seen.
A neo-Nazi specifically, and not any of the other labels, a lawyer will have a field day with you.
That is, yeah, oh my gosh, of course. Good idea. June, part 7 BC. I'm telling you. That's actually a very good one. I love the Photoshop here. It did a fantastic job. You know what they should have done? If we're going to talk about Photoshopping, just get, and she will appreciate, I think, she probably hates me for everything else I said, but she might appreciate this one. They should have made the sea wine dark in color. Give it a little...
You'd be surprised at how much closer Canada is to the UK defamation style than it is in the US. It's a little different. We have better anti-slap laws.
Purple. And for someone who was brought up in a Mediterranean island, it does look like that sometimes. It actually looks like wine.
Sorry, I really had to include the clip of winding you up by using BCE. It made me laugh. Thanks. Also, thank you for complimenting my Photoshop. I was proud of that poster. Thank you for that. And also, hell yes to a wine dark sea. That would be bloody awesome. I've unfortunately never got to see it in real life, not at a certain time, but hell yeah.
What?
Awesome. I've unfortunately never got to see it in real life, not at a certain time, but hell yes. If you're going to make...
You don't want to see it, or you didn't got to see it? What?
For that. And also, hell yes to a wine dark sea. That would be bloody awesome. I've unfortunately never got to see it in real life, not at a certain time, but hell yes. If you're going
It's the sea at sunset.
to make an Odyssey,
You can see that anywhere.
that's
It's the ocean.
mythical, including gods and 3D printed armor,
It's the ocean, lady. Do you think the sky's a different color in the Mediterranean? It's the ocean.
then why not? Why not capture the famed wine dark sea?
It's the ocean.
Love that idea. And don't think so poorly of yourself, Metatron. I haven't hated everything you said in this video. I'm probably going to irritate the hell out of you. And I'm
You never said it's the ocean. She's in the UK, right? You're on an island. It's the ocean.
probably going to
Have you seen footage of the Mediterranean before? Look, let me show you a picture. Okay, look. Did you know that Ithaca's a real place? It's got a beach. You can visit it. It's real. It's the ocean. You don't have a sky, and I guess it is the UK. Maybe they don't have a sky. Maybe they forget they have a sky. The sun goes down, the water gets dark. Wine dark sea. Really? How do you not? Okay, whatever.
regret making this video in the first place, purely because you can see I love to talk about this stuff.
In the classes of theory of translation, which every linguist has to go through, me included, you know that a translation is never a one-to-one. Now, perhaps I'm misunderstanding what you're trying to say here, so I'll allow for the possibility that maybe I'm strawmanning you, but a translation is never a one-to-one. If you want a one-to-one, yeah.
The Mediterranean Sea does look different in person than other parts of the ocean. I mean, it's clear in a lot of parts. It's still water. Like, the fauna is different. Depending on, like, the light level, it's going to be different depending on the weather. But it's wine dark. It's wine dark. It's not, the sea isn't red. Like, you understand that, right? It's not, they're not saying the sea is red. They're saying it's dark. Dark like wine. You know why the sea's dark like wine? Look at a glass of wine. Red wine. And you can't see through it. If you have a glass of water, like a transparent glass of water, you can see through it. But if you look at the ocean from over the side of your boat, it's like looking into a glass of wine. You can't see down there.
You have to read it in the original language. Otherwise, it is going to be a retelling. And there is nothing you can do about that. In fact, if you give the same original...
It's more purplish. I mean, it would be purplish at sunset, depending on the weather. Yeah, sure. But what it's referring to is the fact that you can't see through it. It's opaque. It's dark.
Text to 10 different translators, they will produce 10 different products.
You could say chocolate milk sea, it would work.
It's just the way translation is, which is why people can have their favorites.
I totally agree with him. Like, he's right, particularly regarding translation. Firstly, obviously, I'm not like an actual linguist working with text and translating things. Yes, I did advanced Latin. I'm not a translator. And even then, I still completely agree. Yes, there is no such thing as a one-to-one translation. I didn't mean for it to come across as me saying that, so I'm really sorry. That's badly worded on my part, if that's how it came across. And yes, as you said, it takes 5 words in English to say a single word in ancient Greek. They are not transferable. Also, like he says in his video, and what I was trying to point out and highlight in my video is, there is no such thing as a neutral, accurate, and unbiased translation.
You know what's weird is apparently there's a theory that, what the hell, I'm just reading about this right now. In the 1980s, a theory gained prominence that after Greeks mixed their wine with hard alkaline water, typical for the Peloponnesus, it became darker and more of a bluish color. So I don't think wine dark meant blue. Approximately at the same time, P.G. Maxwell Stewart noted that in general, the use of the term wine-eyed refers to a deep reddish brown, but that its connotations in poetry include drunkenness, blood, and the abandon which accompanies surrender to alcohol and so on. Through those associations, it can be made to imply unsteadiness, violence, anger, and even death. Thus, the epithet, when applied to the sea, could be evoking its turbulence rather than just its darkness. Sure, why not? Gladstone proposed the Homeric usage of color terms focused not on hue, as contemporary usage does, but primarily on how light or dark the object being described was. I think you could probably do both. I think you could make both cases. That being the case, nonetheless, is actually translating wine-faced sea, by the way. Not wine dark, wine-faced. It's referring to the presentation, the surface, what you see, right? It's it could be opacity, it could be redness. The sea was not red under normal conditions, so it's water. It's water. It's still water. They're not on a different planet. Whatever.
The only way to access the text in an accurate way
Bronze sky. No, they're not in Mexico. Calm down.
is to read it in its original language, provided that you can trust your own mind and brain to be unbiased when translating for yourself, which of
You can't.
course isn't possible either.
There you go.
If people didn't have agendas, if people didn't have preferences or personal motives for translating something, no one would translate something that already existed, translated into their primary language. People retranslate the Odyssey into English or French or Greek multiple times because each translator has an agenda to do so. It's not because their country is lacking a translation of the Odyssey in their language. We have an English one. People have agendas. They want to do it again.
Now, if for you, Cynthia, Emily Wilson's translation is the best one, we'll have to see why, but if that's the best one, it's just your personal opinion, that's totally fine by me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't believe 90% of people who say, "Oh, this is the best translation." Why? Because I gotta tell you, as someone who reads a lot as a major part of my job and my marketing strategy for my channel, I don't have a lot of time to read a lot of shit. Not because I don't have time to read. It's because reading takes time. Really, you're reading the Odyssey multiple times when that's not a particular focus for you and you don't spend any time talking about it except for when the movie's coming out. When you start saying, "Oh, this is my favorite translation of the Odyssey," I don't believe you. I started reading the Odyssey like 15 years ago. So I've had time to passively, calmly, at my leisure, read multiple versions of the Odyssey. Do I read every version of the Odyssey back to front? No, I don't have time. I'm reading other stuff. I do read large parts of it. I've read the Emily Wilson one through. I've read large parts of the Mendelssohn one already. I've read the Fagels entirely. I've read Lombardo entirely. I've read, what was it Fitzgerald? It might have been Fitzgerald. I actually can't remember if it was Fitzgerald or Lattimore, which is embarrassing, but one of them. I think actually I read Fitzgerald for the Aeneid, and I think I read Lattimore. I think it was Lattimore. Whatever, it's been a long time. I don't really care. That one I read like 50% of the way through either way. There's no time. There's other things to read. There's too much to read in a single lifetime. Why would you reread something you're not, like, immensely passionate about? I'm not immensely passionate about the Odyssey. I enjoy the Odyssey. It ain't my favorite thing in the world. It's interesting. It's not the most interesting thing in the world, though. The best translation is usually just the one that's most readable by a modern audience. No, it's the one that's most memeable by a modern audience. Do you know why everybody likes the Emily Wilson translation? Some people like it for the reasons I do. They have particular like scholastic reasons for preferring it. A lot of people like it because it's the one people are talking about, and so if you put that in your thumbnail, it gets the reactionaries mad, gets the anti-reactionaries mad, whatever. That's all. It is basically just the Odyssey, the movie, the book for a lot of these people.
I personally don't like it. The only thing I like about it is the fact that she tried to stick to the meter, the poetic meter.
I read somewhere that the sea was described as wine dark because the Greeks didn't have a word for blue. Well, that wouldn't make any sense because they were Greeks and not Romulans.
I thought that was nice. We all have to be cognizant of the fact that a translation is a product of manipulation. You can't leave things one-to-one, particularly when it comes to ancient languages. But
well, you can't leave things one-to-one because there is no one-to-one. You are choosing the one-to-one. And there will always be gaps, right? Like wine-faced. What's the one-to-one for wine-faced? What is the one-to-one for wine-faced? The answer is we don't frickin' know. And also because there isn't one. Notice how in English we don't typically refer to wine-faced anything unless they're talking about President Sunday.
Even modern languages, if I were to translate a text from modern Japanese, a language I speak fluently, I know I would have to make some decisions. And those decisions are going to be the product of my thought process, my ideas. A different interpretation of the same words might be just as valid.
And no, Emily Wilson's translation does not stretch and contort the material in the slightest.
It absolutely does. This is very strange.
It absolutely does. Emily Wilson says so. It absolutely does. Emily Wilson says so. She's explicit. A major part of her translation philosophy is specifically to make it so that you know about the artifice. She tells you explicitly that she does this. This is one of the great merits of Emily Wilson's translation. Did you not read the translator's note that's like 5 pages long? Is that... I hate BookTube. I hate BookTube. Everyone's a frickin' liar on it. It's so weird. Like, imagine you just decide one day, you know what? I'm going to go on the internet, I'm just going to lie to people. I'm just going to lie to people. That's my job now. I just lie to people every day. Oh yeah, of course. I've read all theory. I have read all books. Yes, of course. I too think often of the Roman Empire. It's like, shut up. No, you didn't. You're like 25. You haven't thought about Jack. You're not even out of college yet. I don't know how old she is.
Say this. No professional translator would agree with this statement. You do stretch the material. You have to. In fact, now I'm going to say it, her translation stretches it more than others precisely because she tried to stick to the actual original poetic meter. Okay? It is beautiful. The fact that
Wait, what? Wait. Slow down. What?
Translation stretched the material. No professional translator would agree with this statement. You do stretch the material. You have to. In fact, now I'm going to say it, her translation stretches it more than others precisely because she tried to stick to the actual original poetic meter.
No, she went with the meter of like Shakespeare. What? He's so stupid. These people are so stupid. You don't need to talk about, if you don't care to learn about stuff, you don't need to talk about it. She explicitly went against the meter. That's what she's been criticized for. That was the oh my god,
okay,
man.
It is beautiful, the fact that she can maintain a certain rhythm to connect it to the ancient text. But
no, she maintained the line number. She maintained, not the meter, she maintained... Most contemporary translators of Homer, this is from Emily Wilson's Odyssey, the translator's note. Most contemporary translators of Homer have not attempted to create anything like a regular line beat, though they often lay out their text as if it were verse. But the Odyssey is a poem, and it needs to have a predictable and distinctive rhythm that can be easily heard when the text is read out loud. The original is in 6-footed lines, dactylic hexameters, the conventional meter for archaic Greek narrative verse. I use iambic pentameter. I always said pentameter, whatever. Because it is the conventional meter for regular English narrative verse. The rhythm of Chaucer, Shakespeare, Milton, Byron, Keats, and plenty of more recent Anglophone poets. I have spent many hours reading aloud both the Greek original and my own work in progress. Homer's music is quite different from mine, but my translation sings to its own regular and distinctive beat. And the best part is, people will still look to this guy and watch his stuff, knowing that he's full of shit. Because they'll know it. You can just point this out. They'll know it. And they'll still watch, they'll still support. Because they are pathetic. They are pathetic. He makes them feel comfortable. This is their imaginary friend. I hate YouTube. I hate BookTube. I hate everything. Moving on.
That required manipulation in order to let things stick into different languages. So I do agree with Emily when it comes to that, but so not using terms that weren't present. But at the same time, I don't like what she chose to do with it. Then I'll...
You didn't read the book. You didn't read anything. You don't read jack shit. You have no idea what other... You've never read the Odyssey before. You certainly never read Shakespeare before anything. You have no idea what any of this is. Jesus fucking Christ.
Go deeper into this. So I agree with the sentiment, but not the execution. However,
yeah, it is pentameter, isn't it? I'm second guessing myself. So I'm really, it's like, oh, because I'm used to constantly like reading something online and being like, actually Sunday it's pronounced. It's like, shut up. Yeah, you're right, but shut up, jerk, nerds.
Poetic meter is really the only thing, in my opinion, that makes her translation shine from a technical standpoint. Because
she used the same meter as Homer, right?
but it comes at a heavy cost. It comes at a heavy cost. And the reason why it comes at a heavy cost is because ancient Greek is an extremely condensed language where you can take one word and encapsulate 5 in English in order to represent the same meaning.
Correction.
Oh my god, you know what he did? I know what this fucker did. I know what this dumb idiot did. Metatron saw that after Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey, this appeared on shelves. And why am I saying this? Because this is what Mendelssohn says in his translational note, which spends a lot of time specifically critiquing Wilson, like a lot of time critiquing Wilson. She's like the main character of the translation note here. But even more, this is Mendelssohn. The adoption of a longer line was necessary to serve my larger goal of getting as much of each original line into the corresponding line of the translation. It boils down to arithmetic. Each of Homer's lines is nearly twice as long as a line of blank verse. That, together with the fact that Greek has a far more supple syntax and an infinitely more efficient verbal system than English does. In Greek, the women who are about to courted, I assume that should have said be courted, can be expressed in a single word, suggests why any attempt to translate a given Homeric hexameter into a line of English pentameter must result in a severe reduction of the poem's nuances and complexities. And we know, I'm pretty certain that this is what Metatron is reading, because he is specifically criticizing Wilson here, as the next line reads. These difficulties are apparent in the 2017 translation of the epic by Emily Wilson, which is cast in fairly strict iambics. Wilson's handling of the verse produced a version that critics and readers admired for its speed, rigor, and clarity. That's what he did. He read poorly because he's an imbecile. He read poorly the translation note by Daniel Mendelssohn, and then he internalized the critique and internalized the efficiency of language of Greek, completely ignoring the rest, which is the critique specifically of Wilson, is that she doesn't use the meter of Homer. And by not using the meter of Homer, she has to cut down. It's wonderful. I love how much I hate this.
I never said Wilson's translation was better, nor did I say it was my favourite. I was defending her
What's your favorite?
against people saying that her translation is utter rubbish and that she
The translation is excellent.
hates the Odyssey and that she never even tried and she wanted to destroy the epic, because that's all nonsense to me. She did it differently and some of her outcomes were really awesome, but she still isn't
Name one. Show me you've read it.
my favourite translation of the Odyssey. But
Why do you prefer complicated man as opposed to man of many turns, or man of many ways, or roundabout man, or cunning hero? Tell me which one you prefer and why. Tell me what you did that's so amazing. I don't believe you read it.
I would argue that no one is doing a worse or better translation. They're just very different. So
No, there are better or worse translations. A bad translation, for example, inserts things that misrepresent the text and leaves out things that make the text more intelligible and maintain its nuance. And to this extent, by the way, there are ways in which Wilson's translation fails. I appreciate that she does not add more in, for example, that misleads the reader. And as someone who has read multiple translations, that is more useful to me. I don't like the fact that in the course of this, there are very few footnotes that actually specify where she has simplified the lines. God damn it.
Commandante
Thank you.
Nat super chatted $10. Sunday, Ecuador or Mexico? Please say El Tri Theory.
El Tri Theory. Sunday, Ecuador, or Mexico? I mean, Sunday, obviously. And as you can see, we now have $10 in the theory meter. 90 more to go.
disagree slightly with Metatron here is that he says that all translation is a distortion of the
Wait, that's the part you disagree with? Wait, oh, she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
original text, and therefore all translations are retellings. That end part I disagree with.
If you want a one-to-one...
She doesn't know. She doesn't know that he got the meter wrong. She never read the book. She has no idea what she's talking about. She goes into significant detail. She does. Oh, I hope so, because that's really bad. That's really bad. Okay, we got the slaves here. The complicated. Okay, polytrope. Okay, good. Censoring. Black Helen of Troy. That's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's weird if Helen is the only black person. That would be odd. Thoughts on race? Diversity. You think she missed them? That's a big one, though. That is the major critique of Wilson. That is the major contention with Wilson, actually. That's like the biggest. You can't miss that one. That is the biggest thing. Oh, that's not necessarily true. People can just be dumb and miss things. No, you can't. You can't be dumb and miss things and read this. This is all she talks about. So there's the translation of the text. Then before that, there is a translation note. If you are engaging with any of this stuff in a scholarly way and engaging in debates about translation, this is the most important section of the book for you. This one. This tells you the translator's philosophy to translation. This tells you the rules by which they are according the strategy for telling you the story. This is what she talks about. The meter and divergences from other translators who say things like calling the slave girls who were executed sluts. That's what she talks about. It is exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages. It is 11 pages. It is the first thing you encounter before the text. Never skip. It is better to skip the text than to skip the prefaces if you're going to argue about translation, by the way. Ugh.
You have to read it in the original language. Otherwise, it is going to be a retelling.
Because while, yes, he's right, every translation contorts and distorts the original by default because it is manipulated into a language unbefitting of its true form, but...
Sunday, you forget she's networking? Yeah, but she could get him on the meter. He'd have to concede. Feather in her cap. Unless she doesn't know. You know, there's an easy way to test this. Let's see. We'll go to her actual video on Emily Wilson's Odyssey. We'll actually go there. I'm curious as to what her actual justification is. Is it just in the Odyssey discourse is embarrassing? Maybe it's in here. Someone's gonna eat their words. Someone's gonna regret being nice. Never be nice to YouTubers. Never. Includes me.
But
support them if you appreciate their content. Never give them the benefit of the doubt when they're wrong. We need to be disciplined into being right more often than we're wrong.
Then the creator caught me off guard by saying something about Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey, the translation which Nolan has apparently used when working on the film. So they go on to say that the film is based on a translation from Greek by the British writer Emily Wilson, and they say the following, quote, "Why exactly does this matter? Well, because Emily Wilson just so happens to be a hardcore progressive feminist who specifically set out to reimagine Homer's text through a female-coded, gender-critical postmodernist lens, because of course she did, basically stretching the very limits of the original text to bend it around modern sensibilities." And to that I say, what a load of melodramatic nonsense. Tell me you've never read a single translation of the Odyssey without telling me you've never read a single translation of the Odyssey. Particularly, tell me you've never read Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey. How do people have the absolute audacity to say such things about text they've never read? Because it...
That's the question, isn't it?
Makes them look like a real fool, quite frankly. And I can say this as someone who has read 5 translations of the Odyssey, and I've read it at least 10 times over the past decade. And I don't like being brutal, but everything the person said in this section of their video was completely idiotic and untrue. No, Emily Wilson's translation is not a reimagining, and it's not a retelling. It is a translation. And no, Emily Wilson...
I mean, a translation would be a retelling, but fair.
Translation does not stretch and contort the material in the...
But it does, and she says it does. She explains how it does.
Slightest. Now, not only is Emily Wilson more...
And not in the slightest. Actually, it does pretty radically. She explains how and why.
More loyal to the original than most translations for her poetic meter alone, but...
Oh no. Oh no.
But her translation is more loyal than, say, Fagel's translation, for example, insofar as that she refuses to sanitize the text.
She doesn't know about the meter. She doesn't know what that means. She actually doesn't know what that means. She thinks the meter is the same as Homer's. It's not. It's not Homer's meter. Hank! Hank! Okay, listen. I'm wrapping it up here. I'm gonna raid into Morbid Zoo. Have a good night, everyone. Take it easy. We'll be live tonight on Dark. We're going over some stuff. Ciao. Remember to subscribe to Morbid. She's good people. Bye-bye.